In times like these, we all need a word of encouragement. From pastor and best-selling author Max Lucado comes the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast. With over 40 years of ministry and more than 145 million books sold in 50 languages, Max shares the greatest story ever told, the living Savior who brings hope for a lifetime. Through rich biblical insight, heartfelt storytelling, you'll be reminded that God is always near, always for you, and always in you. Listen to the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast, where hope meets your day. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelt. Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live, starts now on AM 970, The Answer.
Wow, Alex is the king, and who is it? What is that song called?
This is called Awards by Alex Best. Is that what has to do with for tonight's show? I mean...
Wow, that's a good one, Alex, because we're going to be talking about an award show. Now, on February 22nd, during the 79th British Academy Film and Television Arts Awards, the BAFTA Awards, which is, by the way, widely regarded as Britain's equivalent to the Oscars. So this happened in the UK, Mert. An outburst disrupted the live broadcast when a Scottish Tourette's advocate by the name of John Davidson shouted a racial slur as Delroy Lindo, who's a black British-American actor of Jamaican descent, and Michael B. Jordan, who is an African-American actor and producer, both were on stage. Now, Davison, Mert, who involuntarily blurted out the N-word at the award show, supposedly didn't choose to say it. He didn't weaponize it. He didn't intend harm. It was a symptom of his neurological condition that he's lived with his entire life. And yet, since the incident, the outrage machine has been grinding its gears, not because the facts are unclear, Mert, not because of the explanation is complicated, but because Hollywood, those tireless champions of empathy, has decided that this is the moment to flex its moral superiority, which is absolutely disgraceful. Because, Mert, instead of accepting the basic medical reality of Tourette's, many in Hollywood doubled down, denouncing Davidson and even ridiculing him. Now, wait 1 second. Let me give you what happened. A comedian at the end... No, wait. It gets better. A comedian at the NAACP Awards joked that any white man with Tourette's should, quote, double up on his medicine, end quote, before entering the room. This was said at the NAACP. Saturday Night Live aired a sketch portraying Tourette's as a convenient excuse for bigots. And suddenly, the question becomes unavoidable. How did the people who preach compassion become the ones mocking a disabled man for symptoms he can't control? My friend, that's hypocrisy we need to confront and address right now. How do you address that, Mert? Are you okay with that?
I can't believe that you just tried to turn this into a referendum. That's one of those big words that attorneys like you like to use.
We should give you $5 for that one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
I can't believe you tried to use this moment to go after progressives, because that's what you're attacking here. You're trying to go after progressives.
Yes,
for calling out a blatant display of racism.
What?
Listen, this word had to be in this individual's heart, not his mind, but his heart, for it to come out like that. Because if Tourette's, my understanding, Tourette's is when you just blurt out things. You can't control it with your
That's
mind.
Right.
So I'm
That's
assuming.
Right. So how could that be racism? How could that be racism? How could that be intentional? You just made the argument against it.
Well, if you would let me respond, I'll give it to you. This is how. Because this word is a word that you have to feel in order for it to come out in an outburst, a trigger, a tick, such as it did in that moment. It makes, look, just think about it like this. What a perfect time to shout the N-word for the world to hear. You have two of the biggest African American, not African American, I'm going to just say black, because one of them is from the UK. You have two of the most prominent black actors on stage. He didn't say it when some white presenters were on stage. He said it when it was two black people on stage, which lets me know that these feelings are in his heart, not in his mind, but is in his heart. Because if it was in his mind, I'm pretty sure he would have been able to stop himself. But because it's in his heart, and it came out just a tick. It wasn't, he didn't even have to think about it. It just came out.
Wow.
This lets me know this guy needs to be watched more carefully, because people out there with disabilities, it's okay to look at them as regular people. I know a lot of people have a hard time doing that, but people with disabilities have regular minds and they're able to function like regular people. They just have disabilities that you have to pay attention to, that you have to respect. But for the most part, Amen. Exactly. And that's one of the most
I don't know why the audience
people
gave him an amen, because I think Bert is totally off base. You're applying an element of intentionality to a man that suffers from a neurological disorder.
Well, listen, let me say this.
If you look up Tourette's, it would counter everything that you've just argued. If you just look it up, if you look up the condition.
I'm starting to think you have Tourette's, because I'm starting to think you have Tourette's sometimes.
Wow.
Because
ladies and gentlemen, send your cards and letters to M970, and make sure you mention Mert Roberts, because I'm not the one making these statements. Come on, Mert.
I'm trying to educate you on this, and you're
what? Educate you on that you don't know what you're talking about. It's a neurological condition, Mert. If you look it up, they're involuntary. It's involuntary. So it's verbal. It can be motor. It can be actions. People with Tourette's do not choose their tics. They do not script them. They do not script them.
I hear you. All right, let me get this out. Did he start saying anything in Spanish or Chinese? Did he just say something random that nobody would like? Where did that come from? No. This is a very detailed incident right here.
From what I understand,
he didn't say anything.
You know what, from what I understand, there were other. Racist, he was also blurting out other stuff. I think he was blurting out curse words during the course of eating. This was not the only thing that he did. Look, Mert,
can you let me respond to what you just said, though?
Yeah, but you have to respond. But you got to respond with a little bit more sensitivity.
I don't know if you're having a hard time hearing me or not, but let me respond to what you just said.
No. Yeah, go.
It's the perfect situation to blurt out a racist slur.
No,
he didn't say this.
Mert. The guy suffers from Tourette's. It's documented.
I need you to pay. No, just listen to me, because you're not trying to listen.
I don't
You're trying to respond. Listen to what I'm saying. It's the perfect storm. Two black guys on stage, and you happen to shout out this slur. Now, if he would have said it while white people were on stage, I can understand that. But why are you looking at two black people on stage and that's the word that comes out? This is what I mean by this is not something that's in his mind, it's in his heart, because he made a connection to what was going on upstage.
Yeah, but Tourette has nothing to do with the heart. Tourette is totally involuntary, Mert. I understand the argument. I understand the argument that you're making.
No, pay attention to what I'm saying. I am saying he made a connection and he couldn't control himself. That's the Tourette's that he can't control, where he was making a connection to what he's seen on stage. He's seen on stage two black guys, and against his own, will, his mind is telling him, don't say it. But it's in his heart, and his tics, his Tourette's forced that word to be blurted out because he's seen those two African descent on stage. He's making a connection. This is how this is going down. He's making the connection. Two black guys. He's sitting there telling himself, don't say it, don't say it. But his condition, what's in his heart, it makes it difficult for him not to do that. So he blurted it out, and he couldn't control it. So that word and how he feels about black people, that's what's in his heart.
Racism.
And I don't care what Lucas Ferrara tries to say. I know better because I know Lucas Ferrara means well, but he doesn't have all the facts like old Mert because old Mert knows a thing or two about this type of stuff.
You know nothing about Tourette's. Look, Alex, you're a disability advocate. You think this was racism? I don't believe what Mert is saying. It runs totally contrary to what the common knowledge is about Tourette's. And by the way,
why didn't he offer a really solid apology? Why did he seem to hide behind his Tourette's? This is what I'm trying to figure out. It's like he didn't issue a real apology. He basically hid behind the Tourette's, and that's my problem with it.
Well, I don't know if he issued an apology or not, Alex. I mean, you may want to check that out. But if he's suffering from a neurological condition, you're okay with Mert saying that was racism? That he was speaking what was in his heart? I don't think that's the case.
I mean, should we forgive Oscar Pistorius because he has no legs for shooting his girlfriend? Like, this is what I'm feeling right now.
That's a leap, okay? The legs, the lack of legs, not what caused him to kill his girlfriend. Do you understand? Tourette's causes an involuntary tic, okay?
Yes, but listen to what you just said, an involuntary tic. But that tic was a very targeted tic. He didn't say, you two are crazy.
The doctors are saying that the intentionality, you can't apply it. That's what the doctors are saying. By the way, 1.4 million people live with Tourette's. Yeah, about over a million people in the U.S. live with Tourette's. And worldwide, it's closer to 40 million. So this impacts a lot of people worldwide, Mert, and I'm surprised
I don't understand
that you're applying an intentionality.
Statistics.
Because it's a lot of people suffering from this, and a lot of people seem to be ignorant about how this condition works. Okay?
I heard your facts, but it still makes sense what I said. Because just because you have a tic doesn't mean that you can't feel something. He made a connection, and his tic prevented him from controlling what was on his mind, and not only in his mind, but what was in his heart. What is in his heart is, hey, two black people, I want to say the N-word. But a normal person would control themselves. But with this Tourette syndrome that he has, he can't control it. So what he was feeling was blurted out.
So let's assume for 1 second that Mert, you're right, okay? But he's disabled. We have to agree he's suffering from Tourette's. So shouldn't we give him a pass? See, the problem here is even if we accept what you're saying is true, and it isn't, okay? Because for everything that I read, there's nothing intentional about the Tourette's, what people blurt out. But let's assume for the moment you're right. He's disabled. So shouldn't he get a pass?
No.
Why not?
Because if we give him a pass, right, then we're basically saying disabled people are just different category that's immune from any kind of criticism.
It wasn't intentional, Alex.
That's not how we fit in society.
Yeah, but that wasn't intentional. In other words, he
said the wrong word. He said the wrong word. You could have said any word, but you had to say the word that goes after two African Americans. That's what I mean by him saying it out loud wasn't intentional, but he felt that because that was the perfect word to say if you're trying to offend some African Americans. So his tics prevented him from controlling himself, and that's the disability. Okay, I give you that.
So if we accept that logic, should not we forgive him for the trespass, for what he did? In other words, you can't take it literally. You can't take it, as an expression of anger. Who are you going to put
the responsibility on for him sitting in that seat? Are you
going
to
that's
blame
the problem.
The people?
I don't think that he should have been placed in the front row or whatever in a theater during a live broadcast,
I'm not
given that he had Tourette's.
Besides him, I'm not blaming anybody else.
It was dumb. It was dumb for them to see him in the front of the audience, given his condition. I will give you that. I thought it was stupid.
that he has a condition where he might blurt something out, then it's up to him to alert people. Hey, I might say something.
They did.
And you know
they
what?
Did.
No.
Did.
But he
they
didn't
did.
stop himself. He didn't stop himself from attempting.
You can't stop
the
yourself. That's the thing. See?
Well, no. He could have he could have stayed at home. He could have watched it from the back. He didn't have to be around all the people.
So you deny him living a life. You deny him an accommodation because of his disability. Alex, you okay with this discussion?
Of course
Well,
I am, because you sit him in the front. And by the way, he was introduced to the crowd, which is just kind of interesting because, of course, he's introduced to the crowd, and then this happens. But I'm okay with that accommodation. But then,
advise,
when you get the accommodation, it's how you act moving forward.
They even advised the crowd. They said to the crowd, you may hear him blurt out things because he suffers from Tourette. They even advised the crowd. Okay?
Well, why did he show up if he knows he has this condition? He's not somebody who's
oh my God, so we should keep him locked up somewhere because he suffers from a disability? What are you talking about?
You keep acting like he doesn't have control over what he does on a day-to-day basis.
He does it. Now, when it comes to Tourette's, the blurting out.
So you're telling me he had to go there because he was being forced? No, he wanted to attend.
Well, he had a film. He had a documentary that was being honored and winning an award.
He should have stayed away, because if you know you have a condition that makes you prone to saying stuff that could be offensive, then what's the smart thing to do? Stay away from people that you might be able to offend.
Oh, now you disagree, Alex? Where were you just a few minutes ago? Come on.
I'm saying you want to accommodate him, sure, but I mean, you don't turn him away entirely.
No. I'm not saying anybody turned him away. I'm saying he should have took it upon himself to not sit in that seat. He should have sat somewhere where he didn't have any risk of offending anyone. So he would do that. You know what?
Maybe it wasn't the smartest move, and I'll agree with you. Maybe it was not the smartest move for the BAFTA people to stick the guy right up front. Okay?
I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming him.
That was dopey, I think. They knew he suffered from Tourette's.
Because it might be inspirational if he shouts out a bunch of swear words, but he says something very targeted and very racist. So I'm blaming him for that.
But the experts are saying there was no intentionality, Bert. It's not like
I know he sat at home before, and he's probably seen some black guys on TV, and he's probably blurted that word out. And he was like, wow. So he should have had some insight into what's possible. So I'm putting this on him because he's more educated than anybody about his condition. And if you know that this is possible, it's on you to prevent something like this from happening, because he is very capable of thinking. He was in a movie. So he is not incapable. He just has Tourette's.
Right. And what? That I think that Tourette's excuses what he did. And I think maybe a lot of bad decisions were made, but I think even worse was Hollywood's reaction to the poor guy and making a mockery of the disability that he suffers from. Look, guys, if compassion is real, it has to be universal. Right? If empathy is real, it has to be unconditional. If inclusion is real, Alex, it has to include the inconvenient, right? The misunderstood, the imperfect, and the neurologically different. Otherwise, it's not compassion. And that's the problem. So here are the questions, right, guys? What kind of society do we want? Where compassion is just a slogan, or where compassion is a practice? And I don't want slogans, my friends.
That's nonsense.
Practice. I want practice.
That's nonsense what you're saying right now. They could have gave him a nice little suite to sit his behind in, and he could have shouted all the stuff he wanted to shout, and nobody would have to hear it. But he wanted to be right in the front, knowing what he's capable of, because he has Tourette's. His IQ could be through the roof.
Shame on you, Mert. Shame on BAFTA, and shame on Alex. I thought you would be more in favor of helping out this guy.
If I excuse this behavior, then I'm saying anybody with a disability can act any way they want, and that's not the way we want to be in society.
No,
either.
But this is not intentional, though. This is episode 88 of Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas Live. This is Lucas Ferrari. You heard from Mert Roberts, the Mertinator. You heard from our producer-engineer, Alex Garrett. And, of course, there's Ashley Ferranti in Master Control. When we come back, we'll be joined by Adam Swart, the founder of Crowds on Demand. So stay tuned. Me, Mert, Alex, Adam, all of us at AM 970. We'll be back after these messages. When we come back, Adam Swart, he'll talk about the bona fide influence industry. If you ever wondered who's shaping the noise behind the news, stay right there. Products that improve your life. Well, this product can save your life. There are approximately 5,000 choking deaths in the U.S. each year. One child dies every 5 days from choking. Did you know older adults are at an increased risk of choking? Yes. And lodged food is the main cause. Ever pop small, bite-sized foods in your mouth like peanuts, grapes, or popcorn? Those foods that people eat by the handful can get overloaded in the mouth, which can cause a choking episode. LifeVac is a simple rescue device that can change a life in a choking emergency. It's non-invasive and easy to use, and one kit fits the whole family. If you have a young child in your family or a senior relative living alone, I strongly recommend you visit the LifeVac website today at lifevac.net. View the videos demonstrating its ease of use. LifeVac works in 3 simple steps: place, push, and pull. The LifeVac device dislodges the obstruction and suctions out the food or object. It's that simple. And it can be self-administered. LifeVac.net, made in the USA and FDA registered.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate. Imagine a child waking up this morning hungry. It's hard to focus on anything when your stomach aches, but you can change that today. With Food for the Poor, your gift is giving kids daily food, access to safe water to drink, and because of a generous match for a limited time, it only takes $150 to feed 4 children. $300 helps 8. $1,000 feeds a classroom of 26 kids because of the match. Click the Give Life banner at am970theanswer.com. Call now, 855-907-4673. That's food for today, hope for tomorrow.
Your dog and a stranger are drowning. You can only save one. Who do you choose? Dennis Prager says your answer reveals everything about how you define right and wrong. In his new book, If There Is No God, Prager exposes the danger of emotion-based morality and why, without objective truth, society descends into chaos. This isn't a religious book. It's a rational case for moral clarity in a confused age. If There Is No God, from Dennis Prager. Order now at pragerstore.com. Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Oh, I love that, Alex. What's that one called?
All right, this one's called Fight by Frost Time.
Love it. Adam Swart is the founder of Crowds on Demand, the original paid protesting and advocacy firm known for organizing high-profile campaigns across the political spectrum. With over a decade of experience in public mobilization, Adam has become one of the nation's foremost experts on how modern protests are funded, staged, and weaponized for media and political impact. He's been featured on Fox News, Fox Business, News Nation, and OAN, where his insights have gone viral, drawing millions of views and sparking a national conversation about authenticity and ethics in activism. Amen to that. A lifelong advocate for free speech and lawful civic participation, Adam is speaking out about how elite networks and foreign influence are distorting protest culture and undermining the public's trust in genuine activism. Welcome to the program, Adam.
Hey, good evening to you and to my friends in New York City.
Thank you for coming on the program. Now, Adam, if I wanted you to arrange a protest against Mert for some of his anti-disability remarks that he made earlier this evening, can you arrange that for me?
I would say it's probably doable. I'd have to learn a little bit more of the information. I apologize that I did not catch the remarks that he made, but it is very much doable. And you can arrange a protest on almost any subject, sometimes with very little notice, provided that there are facts and evidence to support your claims. And that the
there goes the protest.
No, we're going to have a protest because after the show, Adam, I'm going to send you a copy of the tape, Adam, and you listen, and then I want crowds of people in front of AM 970 studios asking that Mert be deported to wherever he came from. Where did you come from, Mert?
Wow, and where did you come from?
Well, Texas. I think he came from Texas.
Does that count as deportation? Or is
we'll have to assess. I like to say we do our due diligence before accepting any kind of request. There's a lot of misinformation out there online about Crowds on Demand, about what we do, and we actually vet our clients and our demonstrators actually very carefully. So I guess have to do my research.
Oh, my God, I guess that's a rejection, Adam. Come on, what kind of guest are you? No, but seriously, you run a great organization. It's called Crowds on Demand, and you've run it for more than a decade. Why are you speaking out now about what's happening with modern protests? Isn't that against your own interests?
Well, there are a few things. I mean, partially is that part of what is in my interest is to rebut the misinformation about my own company that has kind of gone viral online. I understand. Look, I think people are frustrated with the political system, and they're looking for multiple people to cast aspersions on. So people say, kind of have all kinds of misinformation about what we do. So it's important that I come on programs like yours to reassert that what we do is peaceful, legal, respectful, persuasive, and most importantly, effective, right? So first off, it's rebutting that misinformation. The second piece of misinformation about the company is that we hire people just off the street with, who don't really care or know about an issue. The opposite is true. We vet everybody, even at kind of substantial expense to ourselves. We vet everybody. We interview everybody before they participate to make sure both that they're committed to peaceful, respectful advocacy and that they sincerely agree with the cause. That not only makes our protests more effective, but it also makes them more controlled in the best possible way. So part of why I'm here is because of that misinformation, and part of why I'm here is to call out the fact that not everybody has the same standards as we do, and to make sure that people are aware of that.
Yeah, on social media, Mert and Adam, I was seeing that this one lady, I think she's making $79,000, or allegedly making $79,000 a year, and she's all over the country, right in the front, in all these pictures, on different kinds of protests, whether it's Hamas or whatever, Hezbollah, or whatever. She anti-Iran, anti-ICE. She's at every protest. Isn't that somewhat despicable, Adam?
Oh, well, look, before I condemn I think I know who you're talking about. If she engaged in any illegal activity as part of that, then I condemn it, right? So if she vandalized, if she, broke anything, if she was violent, I condemn it. To the extent that she's expressing her First Amendment rights, I may condemn what she says, but I support her right to say it and be paid for it. Do you see the distinction?
Yeah, I do. But it's very fine. Because if I'm being paid to protest, aren't I in effect being paid to act? It really isn't expressing an opinion. I'm being paid to act, and that's where I have a problem. Legally, it's not. Is it expression or is it just a rehearsal? I'm just regurgitating lines, or just a body on a set.
I don't necessarily agree with that. And the reason I don't is if you're a conservative activist and you want an attorney to represent you at the Supreme Court, do you hire an attorney? Do you pay them, right? But
yes.
Maybe they're a conservative attorney, right? If you decide to listen, for example, to talk radio, right? Do you listen to a paid talk radio host? I'm just throwing that out there, or an unpaid one? Well, probably most of them are paid, right? So I think it's interesting. Like, look, to be clear, anyone who is engaging in any form of illegal types of demonstration should be condemned, whether they're being paid for it or not, because that's fundamentally un-American. But the idea of getting paid to demonstrate, the idea of getting paid to speak your mind is not really a new one. Lawyers do it, talk show hosts do it, et cetera, et cetera. So that's not really a novel concept.
Well, I don't want to disagree, Adam, because I think what you're doing is great. But lawyers have codes of ethics that they have to comply by, and even journalists, right? Even journalists. Well, let me finish the point. Even I'm taking your example. Even journalists, they have code of ethics that they have to comply by. I'm not aware of any protest ethics, and I'm not sure that anybody's complying with any ethical obligations.
Listen, before I let him respond, I'm gonna just say this.
He's coming to your defense, Adam.
Yes.
He's coming to your defense.
Listen, if there's three different protests that all have the same, the same message, and they want me to come to their specific one, if they give me a couple of dollars, it might make a little bit more sense to go to this one over that one. This is a capitalistic nation. It does cost money to go to these things. So if I'm being requested because of my ability to speak in protest, then I'm not going to just pick some random one. I'm going to go where they want me the most. And if they're willing to pay, that's probably the one I'm going to go to. And you, as a lawyer, should understand that, because you're not just going to represent somebody for free. You're going to represent the person who pays the most money, which you should do because you want to make money and pay your employees. So that would be the smart thing to do. So I think, Adam, more than anybody should understand that.
I think Mert is signing up, Adam.
I like this. Can we pay you to go to one of our events? It sounds like we got to make some job offers here.
I think you got to convert. Yeah.
I do want to address your ethics question, which is there is no code of ethics. I'm actually trying to come up. I've actually come up with one myself. So it's like I've already been ready for this question. I actually have a protester's code of conduct and a code of ethics that basically says rights and responsibilities both for protesters and the authorities. So I actually compiled this, and one of the reasons I compiled this is because I don't think that this is out there, and I do think we need to affirm both the authorities and protest groups that we very much have a fundamental right to speak our minds and to be heard. But what we don't have the right to do is do it in a way that kind of is fundamentally disruptive to society. Meanwhile, the authorities have a responsibility to protect free expression, but the right to defend themselves and to assert public order. So I actually, my publicity person will send this to you, and so that you can see.
I would love to. Is it on your website, crowdsondemand.com? Is it also on your website?
You know what? It should be, but if you want to check out the website, by all means.
Okay, but I think it would help if you stuck it on your website too, show you have an ethical foundation. I love you. Adam, we have to take a quick commercial break. Please don't go away. Have no fear. Adam will be rejoining us after these quick commercial messages. For more information about Adam and his firm, visit crowdsondemand.com. We'll also post the link on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Mert, Alex, Adam, and I certainly hope you'll stay tuned. Stay right where you are. After the break, Dan Swart returns to unpack the protest economy from the inside. And trust me, if you don't come back, we've got the power to stage a protest on our very own.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate. Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Hi, it's Arthur Aidala here for Bay Ridge Mazda, run by my buddy Rob Sabah, a family-owned and operated Mazda dealership. At Bay Ridge Mazda, buying a car feels straightforward, comfortable, and personal. Their team takes the time to understand what matters most to you, your budget, your lifestyle, and how you really drive. They offer a great selection of new Mazdas, along with a wide range of high-quality pre-owned vehicles, all fully inspected and ready for the road. And when you call or text, you won't reach a call center. You'll speak with someone right there at the dealership, focused on helping you find the right fit. Bay Ridge Mazda, where every customer gets a real conversation and a clear path forward. Visit them at 9000 4th Avenue in Brooklyn or call or text 855-332-3476, 855-332-3476, 855-332-3476.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back, my friends. We've been speaking with Adam Swart. He's the founder and CEO of Crowds on Demand, the national advocacy and events firm known for engineering everything from high-impact protests to corporate PR spectacles. Under his leadership, the company has become a go-to force for clients seeking rapid-fire mobilization, media-ready demonstrations, and turnkey campaigns that shape public perception all across the country. For more information about Adam and his company, visit crowdsondemand.com, crowdsondemand.com. We'll also post the link on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Now, Adam, clearly there's a problem out there. Now, what changed in the protest landscape that made you feel that the public needed to hear this story today? Why do you need to talk about it? Why do we need to talk about it?
Well, first things first, I think you have both political sides, left and right, if you can call them that, both like to accuse the other side of using paid demonstrators as if that's some sort of a diss. Right, when part of it is kind of just gently calling them out and saying, look, you both know that you both have a ton of money behind your respective causes. You both have billionaire backers and corporate backers who both back and shape causes and advocacy, right? In using paid demonstrators and all kinds of other tactics. So part of it is that it frustrates me as a business owner to see my work misrepresented as somehow not genuine, when what we are is a catalyst, a publicist, we bring social movements to bear, we bring effective causes to bear, but ultimately what we can't do is make an unpopular cause popular. So sometimes people give me too much credit or too much blame, and sometimes it's aggravating when people are kind of throw it out as a diss. So, so much misinformation out there, and it's incumbent upon me to get out in front of it.
Well, maybe I'm old-fashioned, Adam, okay, and I'm open to being educated. But, in my day, when I was your age, it was, protests were about moral conviction, right? But today, the perception is it's about money, messaging, and manipulation. And that, I think, is what the problem is. I mean, do you see the difference?
Oh, well, I think that protests have always been defined by, to some degree, their backers and the movements. Every movement that has ever made an impact in America, from civil rights to gay rights, MAGA, Tea Party, what have you, right, has had powerful backers, has had interests behind it, and has had these kinds of things. So I think that you can be compensated to demonstrate and still be a passionate advocate for your cause. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. Just like you are paid to host your show, and you are also a very passionate, genuine activist. And I'm not just trying to butter you up. You seem very passionate, but you're paid to host the show. Does the fact that you're being paid cut into your passion? I don't think it does. I think it actually affords you the ability to host this show and your listeners the ability to listen to you. And if you weren't paid, you'd have to do another job.
I do have another job, thank God. But look, requests, I'm a lawyer full-time, requests for coordinated protests are reportedly up 400% this year. Why do you think that is? What's fueling the surge, my friend?
Well, I think you have a lot more people getting engaged in public affairs than before, both corporations, well-to-do individuals. One of the things that is happening is that a lot of companies would basically kind of say, hey, I'm going to really stay out of politics. I'm going to stay out of these sort of advocacy kind of things. I'm just going to focus on my business. But what I think is happening is that if you, as a company, do that, you end up kind of losing out on policy kind of battles to the company that is engaged in aggressive advocacy. So part of it is there's just a lot more publicity around it. Part of it is a lot more well-to-do individuals are just getting engaged even in national politics. As you can see, I mean, there's wide rifts and increasing polarization. I would say that I wouldn't infer a 400% increase in our requests would equal a 400% increase in bookings. That's because, as I said at the start of the show, we're kind of selective with what we take on for various reasons. So just because we get a bunch more requests doesn't mean we take them all on, or even take most of them on.
Well, let me ask you, this is a tough question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but how much of what we see on the streets today, on the news and in social media, is organic, and how much of it's engineered, or is it now is it impossible to say?
Well, engineered, I guess I sort of respectfully disagree with the sort of premise of the question of engineered is if you're going to a Taylor Swift concert, that's an engineered event, right? You could enjoy the concert, but that's an engineered event. If you go to Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech was engineered. You think they just planned that in a day, having him speak on the National Mall? So I think the idea, when you say engineered, the sort of premise of that is that pre-planning and money and all of that takes away from the genuineness of a movement, and I would say it does not. What planning and money and all of that does, and what we do, is we make sure that people are paying attention to a movement so it doesn't die in obscurity. There's so many amazing causes and amazing movements out there that die in obscurity because no one's even seen them, right? Meanwhile, all the money in the world can't make certain causes and candidates popular. I mean, I think you might remember there was a gentleman named Jeb Bush. I don't know whether you remember him. He ran for president in 2016, spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and I don't think he won a single state, right? So you can't buy your way to victory. You can buy your way to people knowing who you are, which increases your chance of victory. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the distinction?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. Do you think it helps the movement, though, when media or these YouTube wannabe reporters go up to the protesters and their face is covered and they won't give their name or they walk away? There's almost like a shame associated with it. Do you think that that's the right approach? Shouldn't they say, yes, my name is Lucas Ferrara and I'm here today to protest ICE or whatever the case may be? Should they hide behind?
So I mostly agree with you. First of all, we at Crowds on Demand have not had people wear masks since sort of the pandemic, and those were COVID masks, not like the balaclava type masks that you're referring to. But I think it's complicated because if you're wearing a mask to conceal illegal activity, that's obviously a severe problem, and that's a law enforcement matter. But if you're wearing a mask to protect your anonymity, I don't have a problem with that. I'm a free speech absolutist. So just to be clear, like in all of this, I'm a free speech absolutist. So if you're exercising your First Amendment rights, you should be allowed to do so anonymously. And this, as a lawyer, Supreme Court has constantly reaffirmed the ability of anonymous free speech. It's like speaking through a Twitter account, right? Right. So to me, and here's why. We oppose cancel culture. Would you say you oppose cancel culture? Because I oppose it, right? And I don't care if it's coming from the right or coming from the left.
There's no place for cancel culture. I think we can. So
there's no place for cancel culture. But why should someone who is, let's just say you're a flight attendant, right, and you're at some protest, right, and now someone, for some reason, as you said, one of these YouTuber wannabes puts a camera in your face and asks you all these questions and then posts your image online and then says, oh, well, flight attendant for whatever this airline is supports this cause. That's offensive. I demand they be fired, right? Would you agree that's cancel culture?
Yes, that's a form of it. So why should that flight attendant not protect their anonymity so that they can speak freely of their opinions, right? So that's my opinion. Again, if they're conducting illegal activity, that's wrong, and that's a law enforcement matter. But if you're using your mask to protect your right to anonymous free speech from the cancel culture involved, and I think you can also agree that there's cancel culture on the right now. I mean, cancel culture was on the left for so long, but now you have cancel culture on the right. And my opinion is that if you're a CEO of a company, if you're the CEO of a big bank or an airline, and you go to a protest and you are expressing your views, it's legitimate for that view those views, if they're offensive, to be potentially sort of held against you in one sense in the court of public opinion. But if you're a UPS driver, right, why should you not be entitled to whatever your views, even if offensive, and the ability to say, hey, if I'm expressing my views, even if they're offensive, I should be allowed to report to work at UPS tomorrow without having to worry that I'm going to get fired because someone was offended. So that's my defense of the mask. So have I convinced you that it's a little more complicated than I certainly see your point about the constitutional arguments, but I think, like everything else, there are people that have abused the privilege, and they're hiding behind the mask to to do things that are just not appropriate, like key up Teslas and all that other good stuff. But I think you've
Correct,
already
and that's a law enforcement matter. That needs to be taken seriously.
And
yes,
I think you've already explained that, and I think you don't condone that, so I respect that. Well, it sounds like you run a great organization, but unfortunately, believe it or not, we've run out of time. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the program. If you'd like to learn more about Adam's company, it's called Crowds on Demand, and they have a website that Mert's going to check out after this program, crowdsondemand.com. We'll have links posted on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Thank you so much, Adam. We really do appreciate your coming on the program today. Thank you so very much. Well,
Thanks,
my friends,
gentlemen. Have a great evening.
You too now. That concludes show number 88. May I hear an amen? Amen. Special thanks to the Mertinator, Mert Roberts, my co-host. 88 amazing episodes. That's 176 hours of live entertainment. And if you think it's easy, you do it. Alex Garrett, producing engineering. You're amazing. Ashley Ferrante, master control. We love you. Disney loves you too. And everybody behind the scenes at AM 970. Thank you. Check out my movies. Manor of Darkness is going strong. It's on Tubi. You could watch it free. And after us, we have Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates. You can't miss it. Join us next week. We'll have more controversial topics, more special guests just for you. Same time, same place. Ciao, ciao.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.
In times like these, we all need a word of encouragement. From pastor and best-selling author Max Lucado comes the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast. With over 40 years of ministry and more than 145 million books sold in 50 languages, Max shares the greatest story ever told, the living Savior who brings hope for a lifetime. Through rich biblical insight, heartfelt storytelling, you'll be reminded that God is always near, always for you, and always in you. Listen to the Max Lucado Encouraging Word podcast, where hope meets your day. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.